Hello everyone. Today I'm in Las Vegas, and with all the bad press about $10 bottled waters and $13 slices of pizza, have you ever wondered just how much the companies behind the Vegas casinos are actually making? The short answer is not much to barely surviving. First, let's look at the Caesars Corporation, which controls about 1/3 of the casinos on Vegas Boulevard. Last quarter, sales totaled approximately $2.9 billion. And of that, food and beverage sales comprised approximately $428 million of sales, or about 15% of their total. The cost of those sales for the food and beverages and the worker salaries themselves to prepare the food and beverage came out to approximately $275 million, which leaves Caesars with a gross profit of about $158 million, which all sounds pretty good up until this point. However, there's more expenses, that is, such as Caesars' quarterly debt expense of approximately $579 million. And of course, that would be spread out over all their business segments, such as gambling and hotel. But still, that is just a huge debt expense. And the other major expense for Caesars is their corporate offices, such as their white-collar workers, and that's pretty high at $477 million per quarter. So at the end of the day, when you subtract out all their expenses, Caesars' net profit last quarter was actually a loss of $578 million. And that just happens to line up with their debt expense for the quarter. And just how much debt does Caesars have? As of June 2025, total debt was approximately $12.02 billion. And keep in mind, it wasn't that long ago that Caesars got out of bankruptcy, and apparently they still have not solved their debt problems. So debt and corporate expenses are just eating Caesars' entire lunch, and then some, even after what many would consider price gouging their customers on food and drinks. They apparently still can't make any money. Next, let's look at the MGM Corporation, which controls the other 1/3 of Las Vegas casinos. Total sales for the June quarter at the MGM were approximately $4.4 billion, and the food and beverage comprised approximately $778 million of that $4.4 billion. The total expenses for MGM's food and beverage sector, including worker salaries and the food and beverage themselves, were $576 million, leaving MGM with a gross profit in this division of approximately $200 million. And that also sounds pretty good, but let's see what other overhead the MGM also has to deal with. They have a debt interest expense of $105 million last quarter. However, that's after capitalizing their debt expense, or part of their debt expense anyway, which in layman's terms means that they are able to delay their debt payments and even add some of those debt payments back to their mortgage, which is a rather clever way of freeing up some cash flow. And MGM's total debt is currently at $6.2 billion, which is still quite a lot for them to juggle, but that's nowhere near as bad as what Caesars is dealing with. Other overhead at the MGM Corporation includes $1.2 billion for general and administrative, or their corporate expenses, and that is a lot of money for just 3 months of business. So the MGM Corporation has a lot of people in upper management, apparently. And when all is said and done, MGM's net profit last quarter was only $133 million, which is certainly better than Caesar's loss. But considering MGM did about $4.4 billion in business in just the last quarter, that's only about a 3% net profit margin, which, all considering, isn't that good at the end of the day. And that's after they did all that juggling with a bunch of their debt, which at some point will eventually come due. So let's look at this again. Caesar's Food and Beverage is technically making money until all the overhead is added in. Namely, what really kind of ruins it for them is their debt expense of $579 million last quarter, and their corporate overhead at $477 million, which led to a company-wide loss of $578 million. So even if Caesars just completely got rid of all their debt, which they probably can't do, but if they did, that would only allow them to break even. And of course, the Caesars Corporation is not exactly a nonprofit. They need to start making money at some point. And the only way for them to do that, besides raising prices even more, is to get their corporate expenses down, as they appear to be rather top-heavy, or at least get some of their debt down as well. And as far as their blue-collar worker expenses go, those don't seem to be too bad. Job postings on Indeed show the average starting salary for the food and beverage staff at the Caesars in Las Vegas is only about $15.46 per hour, which seems pretty reasonable, even without considering that these are union jobs, and they also come with pretty decent benefits, such as employer-sponsored health care, as well as paid vacations and sick leave. But those expenses, I mean, just offhand, that doesn't look like they're going to save a whole lot of money if they were to cut workers' salaries, which of course they couldn't, because they would be hit by worker strikes, and that just wouldn't be a good idea for them to do that either. But Caesar's problem expenses continue to be their debt and corporate overhead, which not even the $13 pizza slices appear to be able to solve. Or maybe that could be just part of the problem, where instead of trying to gouge the consumer, maybe if they offered a more reasonable food and drink options, they would do more business, which might help offset their mountain of debt and corporate overhead as well. But even that is probably a big maybe at this point, because those expenses are just so high. And these companies, they almost appear to be built to fail, just because the cost of running them is just so much. And anyhow, please share your thoughts and comments below on what you think Las Vegas casinos need to do to bring consumers back to Vegas, and also to make money for their stockholders as well. And thank you for watching.